While playing it, I really wanted to like Days Gone. Leading up to its release in April of 2019 and in the close to 3 years beforehand of gameplay demos and trailers, I was excited for the game. Sure, Sony Bend was a studio that was very new to developing modern AAA games of a large scale. Their last console game, Siphon Filter: The Omega Strain, released on PS2 in 2004. But I was confident nonetheless. 2 years prior, Guerrilla Games, another first-party Sony studio, proved they were more than capable of developing an excellent third-person open-world game with zero previous experience in the genre. For me, Horizon Zero Dawn was the template for Days Gone. If Ben's game was able to come close to Horizon from a quality standpoint, I would be a happy chap. Unfortunately, yeah, that didn't really happen. This video is not a formal critique of Days Gone because I just haven't played enough of the game to be able to confidently render a final verdict, but the fact of the matter is I just can't will myself to play the game any longer. I know there are millions of people that enjoy the game, so by all means, if you have any counter arguments to this video or you want to share why you think I should give the game another shot, please do so in the comments. I'd love to be convinced. Just before release, reviews for Days Gone dropped and there has been the perception that they were absolutely brutal. Its Metacritic is at a 71, which for some reason is considered to be the worst shit ever in the games industry. I bring up the reviews because I've observed the way a lot of players have reacted to them since launch. I've seen a lot of people saying things like, the reviews were totally wrong, and what were the critics thinking? Never trust reviews. It's obviously totally cool to feel that way, and maybe I would agree if I got further into it, but I currently side with a lot of critics that the game is just super average. I've played around 10 hours of Days Gone and specifically am up to what I think is the third mission as part of Iron Mike's Lost Lake camp, which is the third main location you encounter in the game. If you've played it, you'll know what I'm talking about naturally. Now I would say this will be a spoiler-free discussion, if there was absolutely anything for me to spoil so far. The story is uninteresting in the opening hours to say the least, leaving me with zero hook to progress or any intrigue whatsoever. It just seems like it's taking its sweet old time to get going, which is not the ideal way to begin your narrative. I have no idea why I should care about literally anything at all. Admittedly, the characters have potential and I always enjoy Sam Witwer's performance as Deacon, but I feel like I should be able to know in the first 10 hours what kind of story you're trying to tell, and I've got no idea with Days Gone. This is the area of criticism that is most likely to change the deeper into the experience I get, as the story reveals itself to have some actual substance, but the dull gameplay loop just stops me from going any further. As an open world game alongside many story missions, Days Gone has many side activities in the form of side quests, bandit camps, upgrade outposts, and freaker nests. These components by themselves are totally fine, even if they are generic. It's just that Days Gone's world progression in early hours is so poor that the blandness of these activities stands out. In my opinion, an open world title is great when the world design and main quests simultaneously push the player further and further into different areas of the map, without us ever losing our sense of freedom. This is something I found Guerrilla Games nailed with Horizon. The first 4 hours or so of that game takes place in a small and enclosed space to teach you how to play the game properly, but even after that, as you explore the world more, you're still following a pretty linear path, with the option to always do side quests of course, until about 10 hours in. I can virtually guarantee you that everyone's gameplay experience in Horizon was almost identical in those hours, yet the large environments and side quests available kept that fact from becoming obvious. Progressing through the world in this way means that you are always exploring new regions, pushing further and further into the unknown and clearing that fog of war on your map. This is an example of a game correctly harnessing the potential of its genre, since open worlds are meant to make you feel free, plus the story in Horizon is engaging from the very beginning, so that helps as well. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, Days Gone made me feel confined in its open environment. On paper, its structure may seem similar to Horizon, with it also having a tutorial style area. The difference is, instead of us learning and progressing through these open world sections, players have to spend far too long going in circles. Missions take you back and forth between familiar camps and locations, doing the same crap without any meaningful reward, whether it be in the form of character moments or loot or anything. And the fact that fuel for your bike is a vital resource only further limits exploration. I know a lot of people will probably like that kind of thing, but it's just not for me. Missions, including the main story, are very misjointed from the rest of the experience. When you reach a waypoint to begin a quest, there is a long loading screen before a cutscene plays, and you are loaded back into the exact same spot you were just standing in, except now for some reason none of your fuel, a resource which is integral to the open world traversal like I mentioned, matters at all since the game just gives you an infinite supply for no reason. That is of course until you reach the end of the quest, where after a long loading screen, suddenly this mechanic matters again. It's like the game itself doesn't know whether or not it should value its own core gameplay features. It doesn't know if it's actually a survival-esque experience or not, which leaves me with the feeling that whenever I jump into a main story mission that I begin playing something totally different. This is an inconsistency along with the loading screens which suck for obvious reasons, that just completely take me out of Days Gone. Those are some of my more sophisticated, if you will, critiques of the game. Now I'll give you my rapid rundown of straightforward points. The AI is kinda stupid, the gunplay is totally acceptable but didn't blow me away early on. The same can be said for the skill tree, both of them are totally fine, haven't really got any problems but didn't do anything special either. The motorbike controls aren't very precise in my opinion, but I would assume this improves with upgrades. I appreciate Oregon as a setting because it's different, even if the level design is uninteresting. It's quite pretty at times and I think it's really cool that Sony Bend recreated their own home state. From what I played, the musical score is really solid. Hordes are a great concept that from what I've seen seems to have been executed really well. It's just a shame that they are left for much later in the game because it's basically the one feature that makes Days Gone stand out from the pack. But apart from all that, as a whole, I just didn't find Days Gone very fun. It's as simple as that. Based on what I've played and the points I've made here, Days Gone at best has a really slow start, and at worst is an entirely mediocre experience. I think it has potential for sure. I do not think the game is awful, hence why I really want to enjoy my time with it. Maybe I'll go back to it one day and be able to decide whether it gets any better in later hours. Either way, it's sold well enough to warrant a sequel, which I hope can be great if it is made. But that's enough from me. This has been SirCazz. Farewell.